Welcome, everybody, to our regular scheduled city council meeting. Tonight is November 19th, 6 p.m., and I'll call this meeting to order by beginning with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we'll ask Barb to read the open meeting statement for us.
This meeting and all meetings of the Common Council are open to the public. Proper notice has been posted and given to the media in accordance with Wisconsin state statutes, so the citizens may be aware of the time, place, and agenda of this meeting.
And do you want to also take roll, please?
Brian Smith,
Here.
Colin Dykstra,
Here.
Paul Hagan,
Here.
Eric Halverson,
Here.
Dimitri Martin,
Here.
Paul Mayo,
Here.
Corey Nagel,
Here.
Eric Olson,
Here.
Dave Peterson,
Here.
Scott Perchatsky,
Here.
Henry Veliker.
Here.
10 present, we have a quorum.
It's fine. Barb, do you want to start the introductions of the department heads, please?
Barb Nowak, City Clerk.
Aaron Jensen, City Administrator.
Eric Bailey, Library Director.
You don't think that would be obvious?
Laura Colbert, Parks and Rec Director.
Brian Hosell, Chief of Police.
All right, Josh is in the back room. Justin's at a basketball game. He'll be here in a little bit. Stephanie went home sick. Matt Klatt has something going on at the airport. So, but we do have Jacob Walla here tonight, our fire chief. So he's going to give us a report too. All right, let's. Sorry about that. Let's work on the consent agenda here. This is the consent agenda. All these items on here, we'll make one motion and vote on that one motion unless you see something on there that you would like to see moved to the regular agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Martin, second by Olson, that we approve the consent agenda as printed. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, say no. Motion carried. Regular agenda, we have no changes to that. We're just, again, looking for a motion to approve so we can begin.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion by Hagan, second by Nagel, that we approve the regular agenda as printed. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, say no. Motion carried. All right, let's go to non-agenda items. We have a couple of proclamations in there. The first one is on page 87. This is Snow Fighters Appreciation Day proclamation. I'm actually going to read this one. Whereas Wisconsin is the home to some 3,000 professional county and municipal snowplow operators who frequently work long hours in extremely difficult weather conditions to help keep roadways safe and open for everyone, Wisconsin experiences some of the most severe winter weather events, and on average, 40 winter weather events each year. It is typical for Wisconsin communities to receive on average of 48 inches of snowfall each winter. Snow, ice, and rain in winter contributes to nearly 1,300 fatalities and over 100,000 injuries on a national highway yearly. Whereas the city of Waupaca maintains 43 miles of public roads to keep our residents connected and the economy moving throughout the year, whereas clearing snow and ice dramatically increases the safety of our community, whereas economic studies have found that the winter weather events have a severe impact on wages, tax revenues, retail sales, and salt dicing operation pay for themselves for every dollar in cost per application, whereas the year-round planning for winter storms is a vital process and investments in equipment are critical to the well-being of our citizens. The work done by frontline snow fighters have saved and will save an unknown number of our citizens. Whereas emergency snow fighters interrupt time with their families at any hour and at any moment's notice to protect and serve the communities. Now therefore, I, Brian Smith, Mayor of the City of Waupaca, do hereby proclaim November 19th, 2024 as Snow Fighters Appreciation Day in the City of Waupaca. All right, so that's one proclamation. We also had the second proclamation, which we have read every year, so I'm not going to read that this year, but this is that Christmas stamp proclamation, just stating that Waupaca was the first one, our post office was the first one to have a Christmas stamp, which is kind of cool. You can read through that if you would like to. Next up, we have public input. This is for non-agenda items. If there's anybody that would like to speak to the council on an item that's not on the agenda, please step up to the podium, give your name and address for the record. Limit your time there to 3 minutes or less. Any public input? All right, let's go to community and department head reports. We have Mr. Todd Jones is reporting on the Yuletide Trail for the Waupaca Area Arts and Culture Network. Todd, welcome.
Hello, Mr. Mayor, Council. It's great to see you all again. It's been a while. And I represent many things when I come into these chambers, and tonight I'm representing the Waupaca Arts and Culture Network, otherwise or affectionately known as WACN. Many of you might be familiar with WACN. It is a group here that we'll talk a little bit about in today's update. But WACN also, and I sit on the committee along with many other members, is the lead organization for the Yuletide Trail celebration. Tonight's update is all about the Yuletide Trail celebration. So the Waupaca Arts and Culture Network started Waupaca's Yuletide Trail 6 years ago. It's hard to believe that it's been 6 years. It's really an institution now in the city and the adjacent areas. It was originally established to bring the Waupaca Chain of Lakes area together for a unique and fun holiday celebration. Last year, you may recall, I was here giving you an update on the changes to that event. We moved it to a 4-day event, so it's no longer just a single-day event. And those 4 days are jam-packed and something for everyone across the entire weekend. While WACN works together throughout the year on a variety of collaborations and projects, this is the single most and the largest event that WACN puts together and collaborates for the city. The celebration this year kicks off Thursday, December 5th. That will begin at 6:30 p.m. with our holiday parade, something that we brought back last year after somewhat of a hiatus of about 20 years, I'm told. So we will have the parade again this year, directly down Main Street. Immediately following the parade, our Honorable Mayor, Brian Smith, and Santa will welcome the community and light the 18-foot Christmas tree next to the Danes Hall Plaza, which has just been installed this week. Decorating is, I think, finalized this week. Following the lighting of the tree, the community theater singers will lead everyone in holiday carols and songs around the tree. If you missed this last year, I would encourage you, make sure you don't miss it this year. It was truly something magical. The only thing that could have improved it was maybe a little bit of snowfall, light snowfall. We don't need anything heavy that evening. But really something right out of a Hallmark movie. And we had great response from across the community in response to the parade last year. On Friday, December 6th, downtown Waupaca and King businesses will all stay open for an extended period for shopping, holiday shopping, and various activities hosted by those businesses. Stores will also have their windows festively decorated. This year we've had an addition to the weekend, which is a window walk. So each one of the businesses, not just retail businesses, but all of the businesses in the area will be participating with highly decorated windows for everyone to take in and enjoy. In addition to that, as a lead-in to Saturday's Yuletide Trail event, that will take place on December 7th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. The shops and restaurants will be open naturally between Waupaca and King. We'll have the Holly Jolly Trolley running again this year, which was a tremendous hit last year. That shuttles visitors and residents from downtown Maine all the way over to downtown King and in between. You see a theme here. That was made possible through a grant from the Waupaca Area Convention and Visitors Bureau, and that will run with entertainment on the trolley as well throughout the entire day. Our Cookie Walk also happening that Saturday. This is another annual event as part of our Yuletide celebration. For the folks that have purchased a commemorative cookie tin, those cookies will be given out at 22 cookie stops this year, all throughout King and Waupaca. Families will be able to also stop by the Waupaca Area Public Library for a story time and various holiday activities. And Danes Hall, once again, will host their annual Children's Christmas Party with Santa that same afternoon. And yes, there is more. On Sunday, December 8th, shoppers can again shop downtown across Waupaca and King. And our Parks and Rec department, thank you for the support there. We'll be hosting a holiday movie. This year it's the Santa Claus. That will happen at the Rec Center at noon. Another new addition this year is we worked with the Rosa Theater to sponsor and host a holiday movie for the community. This year that will be Christmas Story playing at the theater at 5 p.m. Tickets will be sold for that particular event $2 each, so a low cost of entry. And all of those monies raised, the Rosa will be contributing back to the Wacken organization to help cover our costs and support future events as well. So we're very grateful to the Rosa and their owners for that contribution. As part of this event, Wacken also works with a variety of organizations and businesses to make the downtown festive and welcoming for the residents and visitors alike. In front of the library, we will host our Artful Tree event as well, where we have 12 sponsored artful trees. Each one of those trees are sponsored by local businesses and organizations. They're decorated in a theme for the year. And those are all handled by local businesses and various organizations, as I mentioned. We've also recently decorated the flower pots downtown in a holiday theme with pine boughs and lights in those flower pots. And then the city bandstand, that tree has just recently been installed. We have a 10-foot tree in the bandstand, which you may have seen already this evening, decorated with tree and garland and lights. In addition, there will be a story walk in downtown Waupaca and King for families to participate in and take in more festivities. The Yuletide celebration is a unique collaboration amongst more than 10 arts and culture organizations here in the local community. Also, the City of Waupaca, Chamber of Commerce, the library, and numerous local businesses help to make this a possibility for our residents. These collaborations are the foundation of the event, and we are very proud of the work that's been put in by our committee and our various partners. So in closing, thank you again for the opportunity not only to share an update on this year's event, but also invite you formally to participate in the weekend of festivities. Bring your friends, families, and loved ones, and I'm sure that it will be a great way to kick off the holiday season for each of you. Thank you.
Thanks, Todd. Thank you for coming tonight. Anybody have any comments or questions for Todd? Again, thanks a lot. Appreciate you coming tonight.
Thank you.
All right, next up, although he is, I guess, considered a department head also, but we have him on here specifically. I think this will be Jake Waller's first report as our fire chief. So, Jake, if you want to either sit or stand, whatever you prefer to do.
I can stand. Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. For you that don't know me, I know a lot of you. My name is Jacob Waller. Born and raised in Waupaca. I worked for the Public Works Department for 16 years. Been on the Volunteer Fire Department for 15 years. The opportunity was presented to have a full-time fire chief that really interested me. And I went and took a good run at it and came out on top. It's been a dream of mine. Got a lot of family members as on the department all the way through. And it's just been in my blood through and throughout. So I took the position August 12th, thinking I knew a lot about the fire department, until I sat in that chair. Everybody looking at me, and then the games began. So I am enjoying every moment. It's a lot of learning on my end. I was always a hands-on type of guy. Right now I'm working on some handbook changes, as the district was always a volunteer department. So I have to go in and change all the verbiage in the handbooks. We adopted the city handbook for myself as a full-time employee because we didn't have one. And then I also have to go in and change the bylaw books that was drafted in 2016 for the fire department, as it is all under the volunteer side of it. So I have to make those changes to get us compliant to where we're at now. So a lot of paperwork on my end. Don't see a lot of what I do right now, but I've been out in the community. I've been to, I think, every township and talked with them and introduced myself, and this is my first run with the city council. I do send monthly reports off to Mayor Smith and Aaron. If anybody else would like to be included in that, I can do that as well. Including the townships, they all get one as well. It's just a monthly report of what we do, and that starts on page 90 of your packet. October's a big month for us. It's all about fire prevention. Fire prevention is very big in the community. We try to engage with as many people as we can. This year we were approached by Synergy Healthcare, and they reached out to me and asked if we could do an adult fire prevention talk. That is something we've never done. We've always just worked with the kids in the schools and the facilities that way. So I talked with my IT guy. He's very good with PowerPoint presentations, and we put a PowerPoint presentation together, and we did our first adult presentation. We had 44 adults show up to see that presentation in the community room at the library, and it was very well represented. We've had a lot of good comments, and they would like us to continue with that program moving forward. So that's just another tool that we have in our shed, and we just kind of never thought about the adults. There's a lot of adults that are hard of hearing and hard of seeing, and just different ways. There's different options. Smoke detectors that go off, they can vibrate. There's a lot of different variations that are things that are out there for the elderly people and the hard of hearing or impaired. So as we got through that as our first run, the second week was all about the students. We did engage with about 600 students, 4K through second grade. We touched all of the schools, including, we did have one group of homeschooled students come through that reached out to us, but we do hit the Sunny Day Childcare, we did Tiny Treasures. You can see the list there, I don't need to read through it, but we hit every school that reaches and wants some fire prevention. We do take it on. We will make time for them. We think it's very important all the way through. October 31st, we've been working with the Assembly of God Church up in the Swan Park subdivision, handing out glow sticks, and that's been part of our group. They've done it for the last 5 to 7 years. We give them some lights, hand out some glow sticks, and just do another community event for our members, and just a little PR work on our end of it. And Fire Pup is always a big hit. Seems to be the attraction for the kids. We also had 22 calls in October. The various calls are listed there. The drone was deployed twice in the month of October. One was for a missing autistic child in the town of Farmington, and they found him sitting on the end of a dock. And the one was for an elderly male in Waupaca. They found him behind some houses. Both drones were deployed, but they were found by a human on foot before the drones did find them. So again, that's another tool in our shed. We got thermal, we got lights, we got a very sophisticated drone and can do a lot of things with that. So it's another tool that we do have. We did receive a grant from Wisconsin Public Service Foundation, the Responders Grant. As you know, the weather is changing and furnaces are going on. And this month here so far, it's been smoke detectors and CO detector calls nonstop. I think we've had 10 calls or 12 calls this month, and all been CO or smoke detector calls. The meters that we purchased are meters that can read the gas, that undetectable gas that's in your house, the CO. And it's a tool that we've used, and ours were getting outdated, so we applied for the grant, received the grant, got 2 meters, updated our old meters, and they've already been used, like I said, multiple times this month. So as a reminder, as you change your clocks, check your batteries, change your batteries, check your smoke detectors and CO, If your smoke detectors are 10 years old, they're recommended for replacement. If your CO detectors are 7 years old, those are recommended for replacement. So if you can, take a look. If you need help, if they're up and you don't want to climb on a ladder, you can call me and I will make a house call and we can go through that together. The other thing that we did, we always are the ones running in first, protecting everyone else. I've had some conversation with Chief Hozell, and car accidents, house fires, any sort of incidents. But the big thing that's out there now is the amount of opioid use in and around the community. Our guys men and women don't second guess. They go in car accident, they're going in, they're cutting, they're trying to get them out. What happens to us if we come in contact with opioid, or we get fentanyl or something on our gear or anything like that? So Chief Hozell approached me and we had some conversations about it. He had some Narcan that was donated to him, or he got for his officers, and we thought it would be a great idea to put that in all of our trucks. After a call, we come back, we're cleaning up, and somebody feels woozy, this or that, or has a symptom that we feel it is an opioid, or they've been in contact with that. We now have an opportunity to save one of our own members. So we feel it was a great opportunity to finally help ourselves, give ourselves an opportunity to protect each other. Because we don't know. Like I said, we go in, no questions asked, and come out and we don't know what we've touched or where we've been or what's in and around anybody's vehicle or house. There is more information if you go on Narcan.com. That's where we got our information. We did do a presentation. Chief Hozell, off Detective Nate Nelson from the Sheriff's Department came in, and also a member on the department, and gave a report on Narcan, and so we know what the symptoms are. We did purchase through our fundraising funds, we did purchase a 4-in-1 rescue pulley system with an Easy Don rescue harness. Over the last 4 years, we've been called out at least one time for a deer hunter hanging in a tree. And we've never really had the proper tools to save them. We have ladders, we have ropes, we have things we can get by with, but it wasn't the safest way. So we did purchase that. We did do some training with that harness just 2 weeks ago. And it was very well put together, very well thought out. The group that found that did a fantastic job. So if we do, in the event, get that call this fall, we are better prepared to rescue somebody in a safer manner. Like I said, we've rescued them, just not probably as safe as we could have. But the end result was good. If you would like more information on any of our stuff that we do, if you go to waupacafire.org, we post a lot of pictures, or you can also follow us on Facebook. We do post a ton of our training sessions, and I think there's even a video of us hoisting our tallest and largest member up in that rescue harness just for trial. And that's all I have.
Thanks, Jacob. Anybody have any questions or comments?
Do you have an office space, I presume, somewhere?
I do. I'm upstairs at the fire station right now.
Upstairs, okay.
Yep. So we're working on that. That is one of the downfalls that we have right now, is the fire department was not set up for a full-time department. It is locked 24/7. So right now, access people have been going to the police department, and Jerry Allen has been getting a hold of me via cell phone if they don't have my cell phone already.
Yep, okay.
So.
Anybody else? Yeah, Colin, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to follow up on your outreach to the children of the community. Since I've been here, my kids have been involved at the chain school, and every year they look forward to this time of the year when the fire trucks come out, et cetera. This year, through a partnership or a sponsorship through the Wheelhouse, the fire department went around and gave a bunch of kids pizza gift certificates. A couple of our members at Waupaca were recipients, and the fire truck came down there, and everybody's eyes lit up and had a great time. It was a great outreach event. For me personally, one of my sons at the dinner table started asking us questions about where do we go when there's a fire, where's our safe spot, et cetera, which was lucky because the older son was questioned by Chief Waller then a couple of days later at the rink, and he knew the answers. Well, he tried to tell the answers. And anyway, the outreach is terrific. Keep it up, and thank you.
Anybody else? All right, Jacob, thank you for coming tonight. Let's go to the other department head reports then, and Eric, sitting with all your friends, you want to start?
A little lonely. Library report starts on page 8 of your packet. So, quick update on some hiring news. Head of Youth Services, we're in the process of making an offer on that. Once I have the signed employment agreement back, I'm excited to post the details on that and finally have that filled. We have a couple of new staff members that have moved into new roles or joined us in the last month. Mary Burkett has moved from library assistant up into a library associate role with expanded responsibilities. It's continuing on filling basically the role on down the line of responsibility that was originally vacated when Patsy Serby left as head of services. Been filling a lot of the positions internally, but those create new openings. And the end of that chain is our new library assistant / shelver, which is Rebecca Bauer. Very excited to have her aboard. She comes to us with experience working at the CEC, part-time, including in the library there. Working on putting some finishing touches on our new emergency manual. It's good to have preparation in place and have discussed how we'll respond to some of the most critical emergencies that hopefully will never happen. But if something does, then it's always good to have planned in advance. Biggest news from the library, the Americans in the Holocaust exhibit, though the arrival was a bit delayed. It did turn up eventually midweek last week. And Liz Kinnear did a fantastic job along with her exhibit room team of volunteers getting that up in a hurry. Within 24 hours, it was pretty much set up, and if you've been over to take a look at the full setup over there, that's a pretty impressive job. We did have an opening presentation, opening for the exhibit that included presentations from a Holocaust survivor and the son of a Holocaust survivor, both folks that live in the area. Staff have been very busy with tours of school groups coming in this week. Tracy Behrens at the History Center has been a fantastic partner on this, as always, working with us to find many articles from old papers, Appleton as well as the Waupaca Post, to add local context for the presentation. So if you've not had a chance to check that out, it is very impactful, and I encourage you to take a walk over and check it out. That is a report from the library.
Thank you, Eric. Anybody have any questions or comments? All right, you ready? You ready?
Should be.
Okay, well, we could do Laura first.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
Well, first of all, how'd they do?
They're at halftime. They're down 27-13. So I was at a girls' JV basketball game. So excuse my tardiness. My report starts on 26 of the packet. As usual, starting with wastewater. Our Bowlby lift station is a big project that's coming up on the utility side. We'll be talking about this project coming up next year quite a bit because we'll be starting design. We did apply for an ITA, intent to apply, for the Clean Water Fund. So with that program, it is a low interest loan. So those are sometimes 2% below the rate that we can get. And then also some principal forgiveness or grant funding. So it depends on how we score, but we put the initial, we are interested. The application will have to be filled out Eastgate, not very fun thing to talk about, is we had 14 sanitary manholes. We sealed up the adjustment rings on, and it's an area in manholes where it can get quite a bit of rainwater in it. So we don't want to treat rainwater, so we seal those up. It's kind of expensive, but it's pretty important. Something that's not in the report is we demoed out a new product. It's kind of like a rubber kind of plastic material, which would replace concrete rings for adjustments. They're supposed to be more durable, they're way lighter, and they would replace the sealing. So they would serve two purposes. So we're interested, we had that demo, we're considering making a purchase, but what we're hoping in the long term is to basically make savings, because then we would not have to seal as many. Did some maintenance with our sludge boilers. It's starting to get cold out, so we need to have these things running at peak efficiency. So staff was working on that. We have some very old equipment, one which is on our replacement plan coming up in a couple of years. Leaf pickup is going still in the streets, so we're through the schedule. I know we've been getting quite a few questions. Will you come around again? Will you come around again? And the answer is yes. We'll for surely come back around through the end of the month. And then after that, it depends on weather and how many leaves out there. But please, if anybody has leaves, get them out there as soon as you can. And we are always making those rounds. Plow trucks. So the guys got the plow trucks ready. We installed new liners in a couple of our existing trucks. What those are is just basically a plastic liner. They're rounded, and it just helps prevent snow from getting stuck up into the corners. So they should just reduce on staff time from cleaning out the trucks after the end of every snow event. Water utility, the booster pump station is in operational. So we have that piece that it had a substantial lead time, but it's there, and then providing an extra redundancy in our system. So if we have outages, extensively throughout the city, if this station is online, it will help provide service for everyone. We did have to update our service line inventory. That was a EPA ruling that came down for the lead and copper rule. So we're working on notifying the customers who have galvanized lead lines, galvanized or galvanized and lead, and then unknown. So if we do not know what it is based on our records, we have to notify them that we're not sure what it is, and they should look into it. So it's an educational piece. It's also a proactive step that the EPA is taking to get the lead out of all water systems. So the next step that we're thinking is going to happen is a directive to remove all lead lines within 10 years. So we have not received that officially, but we're working on putting plans together to try and make that 10-year schedule when it comes. Facility side, Eric Johnson, our interim, is filling in as best he can. He's still trying to work both jobs. We did meet with some representatives to review the rec center boilers, so we're trying to put together an RFP for that and get that together and hopefully get a summertime replacement in 2025. Of course, everyone helped out with Jim Miller's pumpkins. It was another great showing. Set up and take down. It was another warm fall, so those can get a little messy. Even the hay does get kind of gooey. So, finally, the River North subdivision is well underway. I have a picture in there showing a hydrant. It's hard to see from the road. It just looks like a big mud hole right now because it's been raining. But all the public utilities are in and under the ground. So that company, contractor, shifted over and is now working on the other side of Godfrey on the multifamily, and we'll eventually come back and start work on the roadway. So that about does it.
All right, thanks, Justin. Questions? Go ahead, Dimitri.
Yeah, just kind of curious, what does sealing a manhole entail? Do they actually have to go into the manhole, or is it more the cover?
It can, this application, so there's the structure, which is a big concrete thing, underneath the ground. And then the very top, there's adjustment rings. So that's where you set kind of the final grade. That's where the majority of the issues are. So that's where we sealed it's usually about a foot, and it's typically concrete rings stacked on top of each other to get it right at the right height. And that's because it's at the ground level, usually a lot of water can get in there, so that's where we sealed up.
Yeah, because I was just doing the math, like 12,014 manholes is about 857
Yes.
manhole, which I was picturing maybe they were just taking tar and sealing around the perimeter or something, but no, that sounds pretty specialized in terms of equipment and so forth.
Correct. It is expensive. That's why we started looking at alternative ways. We use a product, they call it Flex Seal. It's not the type you see on TV, but it's kind of a gooey epoxy, and they spread it on by hand, and it is fairly expensive, both material and labor-wise.
Yeah. And the other question I had is with regard to the leaf pickup. Is there like a schedule for that, or like every third day, a truck might be expected to pass by a house, or?
Yep, there is a schedule that starts in October, and we focus on 2 wards per week, and it's a rotation, and then every year we, flip that so it gets evened out. After we get through that schedule, then we just go out everywhere and try to look for them. If guys see them, then they report back, and so.
Are we out of that schedule by now?
Yes.
So it's just kind of wherever it's needed, you go?
Right. Yep.
So if someone has a bunch of leaves in their yard, should they call and let you know, or let someone know?
No, that's not necessary. The best thing to do is just get them out to the curb with no garbage, no sticks, no dog feces in it, and we'll get them.
Justin, we talked about that this morning a little bit. End of this month, are you asking people to get it out by the end of November?
Yes, please. If it snows when the leaves are there, it makes it way more difficult to pick up. We've had that before.
Are you done, Dimitri?
Yeah.
Okay. Eric?
Yeah, just on the heels of that, Dimitri, that schedule is in the water bill, so watch for that. I don't know what month it's out, but I always pin it up just so I know what month or what week to be watching for the truck.
Yep, it's on the water bill. It's published on Facebook. I believe it's on our website as well. So.
Okay. Henry, go ahead.
Thanks, Mayor. The business that we were working with to extend utilities to the East Gateway, is there an update on that project?
I can speak to that. We were just talking about that this morning as well. You'll notice that final resolution for the assessment for that project is on the agenda tonight. So no, they know that we will be sending them a bill for, in essence, the penalty for not being done by the end of this year, which ends up being a little over $60,000, I believe, is what the penalty is above and beyond the assessment. So on hold. Still planning to proceed is what I'm told at this time. Just haven't hit their deadlines.
Okay. Anybody else? All right. Thanks, Justin. Laura?
You're welcome.
Thanks, Mayor. Well, we've had a busy few months in the rec center, and a lot of this has to do with some of that internal processing of our assessing our rental rates and our program fees. So not only did we have Halloween on Main, which was an incredible success, another estimated crowd of 3,000 to 4,000. I don't know if there really is too much of a good thing, but this is on the brink. It's a pretty remarkable event, and we're just very thankful for all the departments and the chamber and all the businesses that participate to make this just a really amazing regional event. So beyond Halloween on Main, we've been working on auditing our program fees to make sure that the rates are equitable across the board and we're not losing a ton of money on our program fees. We've been looking at our shelter rental rates, our rec center rental rates, both of which you'll see in today's agenda. We are training in Rec Desk, which is our new system that's going to take over for ActiveNet, and we are still really excited about this transition and what it has to offer and the cleanness and the clarity that it offers. So really excited about that training. Additionally, still working on what we're going to fundraise for Eco Park, what that's going to entail, and working with the Parks and Rec Board on moving forward with those plans. We, in addition, have been working on the flexible facilities grant. So getting all the paperwork compiled for the SMA that we're going to send hopefully tomorrow. And included in this report on page 30 is the youth program summer and spring survey results. So you can take some time to look through that. I did send that to all of the board presidents and some of our program leaders so that they can see across the board what some of our families and community members are saying about the programs, what they like, what they don't like, because some of those are applicable across the boards. So good feedback in there. And I would say that the last thing I have to add is not only are we showing a movie at noon on December 8th for Yuletide celebration, but the library is collaborating with us to make it interactive. And we will have bouncy houses in the rec center from 11 to 3, plus the Waupaca Cultural Exchange is going to be selling concessions. So we brought in another organization to help with that. And this is 100% sponsored by First State Bank. So we're very appreciative.
Nice. Thank you, Laura. Any questions, comments? All right, let's go over to the police department. Chief?
Thank you, Mayor. During the month of October, our department responded to 605 calls for service. We had 8 criminal cases that referred to the DA's office. We had 65 traffic stops that resulted in 63 citations and 73 warnings. That's just a little bit down from last month. There's nothing real specific, any high-profile cases or anything like that. Officer Durant has successfully completed his probation. He had been with the department for 1.5 years. He is our current PSLO officer. And one of the things that he did for his SMART goal that we do for the city was he worked on the emergency response plan for the school district. In the event that something does happen at any of our schools, he developed a plan, placed things on maps as to where the officers are go, where the EMS will go, where the fire will go, to help assist with any of that. That was a very detailed plan that he put together. And he is also our coordinator for Holidays with Heroes and Cops and Bobbers program. So he's been doing a great job with that. And that kind of leads me into my next segue is Thursday, December 12th, the Waupaca Police Department with the Holidays with Heroes, it's expanded. Last year was the first year. It was the fire department and police department together. This year we've actually added the Theta Care nurses who have also become involved. And we're looking at in between 30 and 35 kids the way it sounds. Years ago when we first did this, the police department always just adopted one family. Because of this program, we're reaching out and we're at 30, 35 kids. And there was a lot of support with the public, and we actually got a large donation. I just want to indicate who the organization was. The Waupaca Women Who Care gave a large donation this year and really helped with the program because, you know, the expenses and everything are so bad during Christmas time. We're able to give them, each family, a box of food. We're able to give them gift cards to shop at Fleet Farm. We're able to give hats and mittens, pillows and blankets to families that don't have them. So we wouldn't be able to do that without the support from the community and organizations like Waupaca Women Who Care. So I want to thank all those who've been involved with that. We also, during our Halloween on Main, we received usually we don't always get nice letters from everybody, but we actually get a nice one from the Park and Rec Department from Laura. We had a lot of people, which was great for Halloween on Main, but one of our officers, Officer Holden, recognized when people were crossing over on Badger and Main Street where traffic was still open. He was just on his regular patrol duty, recognized that there was a problem that was there, and he got out and he assisted everybody while the event was going on. So it's always nice to know that our officers get recognized for nice things also. And the last thing that I have is, I don't know how many of you know this or not, so I'm just going to read what I wrote here. So after 3 decades of service to this department and community, I'm announcing my retirement from the role of Chief of Police effective January 31st, 2025. This decision did not come easily, as my commitment to this department has been one of the cornerstones of my life for the past 31 years. However, it's time for me to step aside, allowing for new leadership to carry our mission forward. Looking back, I'm immensely proud of the work that we've accomplished together. I'm proud of the progress we've made in the relationships that we've built with the community. I've had the privilege of serving with a team of dedicated, courageous individuals who consistently go above and beyond the call of duty. Our community programs, partnerships, and successes in public safety stand as a testament to our shared dedication and resilience. The support of our community and the sacrifices of our officers have been an inspiration to me every day. As I prepare to transition, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to every member of the department, all of our city officials, and our residents who have supported our efforts. Together, we've built a safer, stronger community. My hope is the foundations we have laid will continue to grow under the leadership of my successor. So thanks once again for the honor and privilege of serving as the Chief of Police. I'm deeply grateful for the journey for each of you who have walked alongside with me. Thanks. This has been the hardest thing for me to do. We have started a process, met with the police commission. Also, Aaron and the mayor are going to be involved with a hiring process that's going to begin at our commission meeting. I believe it's December 10th, the second Tuesday. There's going to be hopefully some internal candidates that put in. We're going to do interviews. We're going to talk with the candidates, and we're going to go from there and hopefully have a new chief announced, and they will begin in the beginning of January. During that January, they'll train with me for 3 to 4 weeks, and they'll have some good leadership behind them to assist them with anything that they need. So that's all that I have.
Thanks, Chief. Thank you. Any questions, comments for the chief? All right, Josh?
Some good news we found out a few weeks ago is grant writer Greg applied for a cybersecurity grant for us, and we got news that we're receiving that. We just don't have details yet on when we'll have access to the money and can move forward, and that's going to fund 3 projects. Police department had to do some upgrades in regards to accessing the systems that the county hosts that we use, so that'll pay for those costs. It's going to allow us to implement more multi-factor authentication, and then it'll allow us to upgrade managed detection and response software, which is kind of the next generation of antivirus software, and that will cover all the upfront costs and then the first 2 years of fees. So we'll begin implementing that when we find out from the grant program when we can actually start working on that. I assisted the Community and Economic Development Department with getting a new plotter set up. The one we had failed earlier this year. It was old enough that we can't get parts and service, so we finally got the new one here and set up. It prints a lot quicker, the quality is a lot nicer, so we can, again, do maps and other large format printing internally again. Alderperson Velker want me to report back. Waupaca Online acquired our new vehicle on Monday. We purchased a brand new Ram ProMaster 1500 van for $38,400. When we looked at the different options out there for used, and then found this new one, a lot of good incentives this month, and it made sense to get the new one than spending just a couple grand less for a used one that was 2 or 3 years old. I've talked with Waupaca Online a little bit about some of the upgrades we've been doing to the Wi-Fi 6 technology. The same thing holds true to the access points that we use throughout our buildings. I upgraded City Hall this month to Wi-Fi 6 capable access points, and made a huge difference on how our wireless works in this building. And then next couple of years, I'll work on our other facilities. And then the last update we've kind of talked about in the past is the kind of the department branding to match the city logo. We completed implementing that within my department, so everything that made sense to do that wasn't a large cost. We've implemented on all of our digital stuff, our paperwork, pamphlets, et cetera. And when our new van's in service, you'll see the nice new logo on there as well.
Thanks, Josh. Questions, comments? Colin, go ahead.
Could you say anything about your newsletter? It looks pretty interesting.
Yes, that was an initiative the staff want to do. It's hard to communicate with our customers because they're all a little bit different. Not all of them are on our Facebook page, or since our bill is mixed in with the main water, sewer, utility bill, it's hard just to send out something with the billing. So the staff felt it was important to create a newsletter we're going to send out twice a year just to update our customer base on stuff. And I guess we've received a couple calls appreciative of those updates.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing. Well done.
And you'll see it in the packet.
All right. Anybody else? Josh, thanks. Barb, you're up.
Thank you. My report can be found on page 50, and it's mainly just election. We had a good turnout for election. It was 88% with 3,284 voters. We had over 900 come into the office for in-person voting, which was about 100 a day, so that was very busy. And I just want to thank everybody that was involved. There was a lot of people involved. Kate and Shelley in the finance, who helped when voters came in the office to vote, field questions that they called and asked when voting was. Helped them register at the kiosk out front. Roy and Claudette, chief inspectors, who came in when they were available to help with in-person voting. Claudette actually took the 6 hours of training that was needed to use the WISVote system, and so that was a really good help, or big help. Aaron and Stephanie, who worked at the polls that day, each took a shift, and Stephanie actually stayed a little bit later to help us finish up getting all the absentee ballots in. Eric Johnson in the facilities, who helped set up the rec center and then helped me transfer all the supplies to the rec center, back to City Hall after that, and then over to the county. The ballots are not light, so that was a big help. Roger in the street department for making some extra handicap signs for that day so that we would have some more stalls out front for the handicap accessible. Josh and IT for helping with the Badger books, setting them up on that day, and then he also updated them. There's a new update that needed to be installed for Spanish registrations. And the police department, who stopped over during the day, and then again at 8 o'clock. And then the rec center, Leslie and Laura and Patsy for checking in to see if we needed anything during the day. And I think everything went good. I didn't hear anything bad. The longest time I heard of wait was 35 minutes. So I didn't think that was too bad, considering we had almost 400 registrations that day. So all in all, it was a really good day.
Thank you, Barb.
You're welcome.
Any questions, comments for Barb? All right, Aaron?
Thank you, Mayor Smith, city council members. Good evening. I know Barb just kind of finished her report by thanking everyone. I think all of us and everyone in the city really owes Barb and all of those people a big thank you. The election is just an unbelievable amount of work, an unbelievable amount of hours, obviously, something that is something that everyone has their eyes on, and trust is built through that process, and Barb and her staff did an unbelievable job. So Barb, thank you for all of that. Airport, want to give a couple of updates. I know Matt and Brittany are not here. You will see, by the way, everyone, you will see my report on page 52. I'm going to touch on a number of things not on there. Airport, Matt and I had a conversation with the BOA yesterday, a meeting. Our T-hanger project right now that we do have in our 2025 capital project list is on pause for the time being. We still anticipate it moving forward. The reason it's on pause is because we are waiting for the FAA to sign a document. It's the ALP document, or the Airport Layout Plan. If that is not signed, then the funding for that on the federal and state side doesn't necessarily need to be approved. The chances of that happening are very, very minimal, but there's also no point in the city taking a risk without that being signed. So we expected that to be signed a long time ago. It's been in the FAA's hands for, I think, 7 months. So we're hoping by February that is done and we can move forward. Also, there is an airport board meeting this week. One thing that we're going to be talking about at that airport board meeting is the contract, a renewed contract for Clad Arrow for airport management. So City Council can expect to see something on that coming forward in December. Laura already mentioned it, but the Flexible Facilities Program material reimbursements want to give not the reimbursements, I'll get to that. The submission for the documents, which is over 15 different documents that have to be put together just to sign the contract. The team did an awesome job on that. So Laura, Justin, everyone, I want to thank you for that. Reimbursements, Paul, you asked about this last time during our meeting about reimbursements, how it works. Do we get the money up front? I didn't have an exact answer for you, but I do want to confirm that we do. So it is actually a lot like a lot of DNR grants that we get. So we can file for reimbursements anytime, as many times as we want. So we will probably make a lot of those reimbursement requests. It's not going to be a cash flow issue. We get that money back very quickly. And no financing, which I know is the cost for the city, which I know is the big question. Zoning and code enforcement, I've been spending a little more time working with Rhonda and Brian, our building inspector, on zoning and code enforcement over the last several weeks since Jared has vacated his position. They're doing a fantastic job, but something that we certainly talk about daily in that department. Speaking of that, we do have some applications that we're continuing to collect. Also have had some conversations with some people inquiring about the position in the last couple work days, and we'll keep you updated as if we get into a scenario where we're holding interviews. Let's see. Audit. There is some audit stuff already in play for there'd be the 2024 audit. Stephanie and I have set some dates in mid-January to start the audit process for 2024. We actually did just wrap up an audit for TID 10 as well. That is because the expenditure period is done for TID 10, and that, per state statute, triggers a requirement to do an audit on that TID. I just reviewed the draft audit today. Everything came back as you would hope. I can share that with City Council as soon as that's finalized, which I would anticipate in the next couple days. And I think that is all. Any questions? Oh, no, that's not all. I'm sorry. Some of you I've spoke with. I'm sure everyone saw the email that Barb sent out with this council packet. So we had originally talked about voting on the budget today. With everything happening with elections, I apologize. I should have caught this with as busy as Barb was, and I did not assist her in this way. But missed the publication deadline by just a couple days. Want to make sure that we give it ample to meet all the requirements per statutory requirements for public hearing notices. That being said, I do have a packet for everyone tonight. I'll hand this out. This is everything that we've gone over. It's just in a concise document. So would love to hand this to all city council members on the way out tonight. These will be available at City Hall for anyone to pick up should they want one. We'll have that public hearing on December 3rd, and we'll vote on it. I anticipate that being a pretty quick item since we've really gone over all of the detail in all of our committee of the whole meetings to this time, and nothing is expected to change. Any questions? I am done now, I believe.
Okay. Thanks, sir. All right, next up, we have, Josh, you're up again here. Under new business, we have the Microsoft Office upgrade, which is on page 92. of your packet.
Okay, in this year's capital budget, we have $29,000 budgeted toward upgrading our Microsoft Office software on our computers, and that includes Word, Excel, Outlook, PowerPoint, and Access. And anyone that's worked in an office environment knows how vital those programs are and how they're used daily, and anyone that buys them knows how expensive they are as well. The city's currently on a mix of Office 2013 and 2016, and probably one of the biggest reasons for doing this upgrade at this point on Microsoft Office software, Microsoft has two different types of updates and support they do. They have their active support period, which gets you product updates, new features, those sorts of things. And then they have a period of time that they do more security support. So they kind of move to their new versions, but they still support the older versions for a period of time for vulnerabilities and other security fixes like that. For the Microsoft Office 2013 software, that security support period ended last year, and then for 2016 that ends next year, which puts us at the point that the versions we're on are no longer support, no longer getting updates, and that creates kind of a security concern at that point. Other things, for example, Outlook 2013 no longer connects to modern email services such as the one we use, Microsoft 365, because they've updated their security. They're not updating old software they're not supporting. And then there's a lot of new features out there that have come out since. There's been 3 more versions of Microsoft Office released compared to the versions we're on. So mainly because of the support ending and some of the other issues, it makes sense at this time to upgrade to the latest version. They just came out with Microsoft Office 2024. I went out and got 3 quotes for that. Those are in the packet. The best pricing came from CDWG, who honors state contract pricing, which brings it down quite a bit compared to other companies. And I'm looking for approval to purchase 65 Microsoft Office 2024 professional licenses from CDWG for $28,486.90.
Okay, and you can see that on page 93 of your packet. Anybody have any questions? Colin, go ahead.
Josh, it looks like on your quote there's some other line item, quantity 5 for $321 each.
I was getting some pricing for another Microsoft Office version just for some comparisons, and we're just doing the professional one.
So you don't need that second one?
No, nope. I'm just looking to do that top one, quantity 65.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else?
I got a question.
Go ahead.
When's the last time that we did this?
Well, we're on versions 2013 and 2016, so I'd say a range of 8 to 11 years ago is probably when we were purchasing this.
Okay.
We split it over, last time we split it over a couple years.
All right, thanks.
And the next question that goes along with that, when are we going to have to do it again?
Probably 5-6 years. Microsoft changed, I think it was on Office 2021, from 10 years of security support to 5 years of security support. So they want their money, and they're trying to convince customers by doing that to get them on more of a subscription service for the Microsoft Office licensing.
Okay.
Well, considering that CDWG is below the amount that you budgeted, that's great news. And so I'd move to approve.
Thanks.
Second. Motion by Martin, second by Hagan, that we approve the purchase of Microsoft Office 2024 from CDWG for an amount of $28,486.90. Any discussion? Barbara, call the roll.
Henry Bellicker,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Dimitri Martin,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Scott Berchatsky,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Eric Helverson, Corey Nagel,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Colin Dykstra,
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
Josh, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, next up, we have Laura, a proposal to increase park shelter rental rates.
Thanks, Mayor. So it has been 8 years since we've reviewed the park shelter rental rates, and we are getting a lot of feedback from our renters that it's so affordable. So we figured it'd be a good time to look at the rates. I have a table in here on page 97 that shows the rates prior to 2008, the rates 2008 to 2016, and 2016 to current. And currently, our rates are $50 or $60 for resident, $70 or $80 for non-resident, with an $80 deposit. We have two different price points because Eco Park and Rotary Riverview Park are two of our 8 shelters that don't have bathroom facilities. So those and a few less amenities. So those shelter rentals are cheaper. We have conducted research on quite a few local communities, and you can see on the bottom of page 97 a table that gives you those local communities in comparison for resident, non-resident fees and their deposit with some additional information. I took that table and on the top of page 98 averaged out all of those variety of park shelter rental fees. So at the bottom of that table on the top of page 98, you can see the average for a resident is $90.75. The average for a non-resident is almost $110, and the deposit is $77. So what we decided to do, because we know that our residents do pay in, they subsidize a lot with their city taxes. We didn't want to raise the resident fee too much. So we're proposing raising the resident fee from $60 to $65, so a $5 increase for our residents, but our non-residents will go from $80 to $100, and those are for our higher level shelters. We're going to keep that deposit the same. It honestly, we've only given we've only kept 2 deposits in the last 2 summers that I've worked, and if there are extra fees that are associated, it's part of the contract that they sign that we can ask for more money if they wreck or break other things at our shelters. So we were comfortable keeping the $88 fee. Another interesting reason why we thought it might be a good idea to look at the shelter rental rates is it has come to our attention that we don't need to be charging a $10 beer permit for private non-sailed alcohol at our shelters. So we're going to be losing $800 of revenue from those beer permits. So in the table towards the bottom of page 98, you can see if we have the price of $65 for resident and then the proposed $100 for non-resident, the difference will be $405 for resident, $1,260 for non-resident, for a total of $1,665 that we would make if we had the same number of rentals in 2025 as we had in 2024. So that would make up for the $800 that we received in the beer permit, plus additional funds. So our recommendation is to again move from $60 to $65, and then from $80 to $100 for our non-residents.
All right, any questions? Anybody want to make a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Olson, second, I'm sorry, who was the second? Dimitri, I'm sorry. Second by Martin, that we approve of these increases. Any discussion? If not, Barb will call the roll.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Corey Nagel,
Aye.
Henry Veliker,
Aye.
Eric Halverson,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Colin Dykstra,
Aye.
Dimitri Martin,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
All right, Laura, you're still up. We have Recreation Center Policy and Procedures.
Thank you, Mayor. So this memo can be found on page 99, and that's where we'll start. In addition to this memo, we also have the policy itself on page 101 and the red line/blue line policy on page 103. We really gave that policy an overhaul based on what you're going to see in this memo. So again, this hasn't been reviewed since 2017. And thanks to the mayor, he acknowledged or brought up the fact that we have been charging a nonprofit fee and a for-profit fee at the rec center, which doesn't align with what we use for the shelters, which is resident versus non-resident. So in this memo, we are going to add a resident fee, and we are going to add a nonprofit / non-resident fee, and then we're going to keep a for-profit fee. So if we go to page 99, you can see a table there where the white is what it used to be. So in 2017, or what it currently is. In 2017, we had a nonprofit fee of $10 or $20 or even free space for our nonprofits. And then in 2017, we had a $20 or $40 fee for our for-profits. So we're proposing adding 3 different financial lines here. Our resident fees would actually stay the same as the existing nonprofit. We won't raise the resident fee. If you are an individual private resident renting, it's going to stay as is. However, if you are a nonprofit, so an organization, or a non-resident, we're going to propose a $2 increase per hour per half gym, or $4 increase for the whole gym. So not a substantial increase, but enough that's going to make a difference when we consider the inflation costs of energy and heat and the like. And then our for-profit fees, we're looking at, or proposing increasing by $5 per hour use for each room. Again, we want to acknowledge that our residents pay taxes. We want to keep their fees nominal, and so that's what we're looking at in the chart. Now, the other part to this policy that I want to discuss, so Erin, if you could take us to page 102. Our current policy says that we charge an extra $15 for a staff member to be on site outside of our normal working hours. That does not really meet the needs of our current wages, so we're proposing to raise that $15 to $20, and you can see that highlighted here. And then it used to say in situations where community organizations such as a baseball board or softball board or basketball board use our facilities multiple times throughout a calendar year, that they would be charged at 30%, and we're proposing bringing that up to 50%. Because those demands have increased substantially just in the last 2 years I've been there, and we thought this was an equitable half-price fee for those entities that use our facilities frequently, but we also wanted to give them, acknowledge that they're doing really wonderful things for our kids. So, going back up to the memo, our recommendation, or we're recommending to increase the rates for those non-residents, nonprofits, and for-profits, to increase the staff fees and then the rental rates for those consistent rentals.
Okay. Any questions? Anybody want to make a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Olson, second by Peterson, that we approve of the increases as Laura has outlined in the memo on page 99. Any discussion? Colin?
What defines resident in this case?
Anybody who lives within the city limits. This is not about the townships.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else? All right, Barbara, call the roll.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Henry Veliker,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Colin Dykstra,
Aye.
Dimitri Martin,
Aye.
Corey Nagel,
Aye.
Eric Halverson, Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
All right, one more, Laura. This is proposed to increase youth program from the township's contributions according to cost of living adjustments.
Thank you, Mayor. So we, as you know, we have 3 townships that help pay into our youth program fund, and those townships are the town of Dayton, Farmington, and Waupaca. And they pay in equitably so that their residents have the same fee as the city of Waupaca residents. They are considered residents because of the township contributions. The equation that we've been using is the township population multiplied by $16.86. Those populations are fluctuating, and on an annual basis, you know that our costs increase. And we as a city have been increasing our input into the youth program fund according to the cost of living, but we have not been requesting that from the townships. When the townships do have an increase, it's usually a robust increase after a number of years, which can really impact a budget. So what we're proposing is that instead of having stagnant pay year after year and then a large increase, let's just increase by COLA with the townships year after year. So it's less of an impact on their overall budget. In meeting with the townships, they are in agreement that, and they voted yes during our Parks and Rec board, that they agree to pay COLA in 2025. However, they would like to review this in August of every year so that they can see what their township numbers look like and then what our proposed cost of living will be so that we can make it a determination that is agreeable across the board. So an annual review. They're not saying they won't do it, they just want to review it every year. So what I've done in this memo is on the top of page 107, I put the current population of the city of Waupaca plus those 3 townships, what they would be paying with the 1686. And then if we added the 3.2% increase in cost of living, what that would come to. So they, again, did agree that this was okay for this year. And so I'm bringing it to the council to review and also approve. And I have 4 different attachments for you. The 3 townships MOUs that they have agreed to are here. So if it's approved tonight, then we can move forward with those. And then on page 114, I have our comparable numbers that we've been using. There's a nuance here that I want to point out that I think is really important for everybody to know, and that is we do not charge an extra fee for anybody to take swimming lessons. We do think that that's more of a right than a privilege, especially living in Waupaca with all of our surrounding waterways. So we have taken the swim lessons out of the equation in our activities total. So that has impacted the numbers more than anything else. I also need you to understand that we may be comparing oranges to clementines in this table because every time we go into ActiveNet to pull reports, they've changed something in their systems that is making it more difficult to run reports. Even when we meet with the ActiveNet reps, we're still not seeing the same reports that we've pulled in the past, and I've pulled them in years past. So we are very excited again to move forward with RecDesk, where hopefully we'll be getting very consistent numbers regarding each township, and we can move forward with that.
Okay. So, again, the request from Laura is for 2025 to increase the fees for the township and the city based on the cost of living adjustment. Anybody have any questions? Henry, go ahead.
Well, I commend you for bringing them along on this. It's a big change, I think. You know, our formula is our formula. Has the group explored a different, where I'm anticipating they may have concerns is 1 year their participation in the overall numbers could go from 30% down to 10%, and they're paying the same or more money. And I get that, but that is the case for all the partners in it. So that's a little bit of the risk we all take in this agreement. Was there serious discussion about trying to change the basis of it? I'm not suggesting we should, because we got to have something subjective to base it off of.
Mm-hmm. Like any board, there's changeover, and there's been some changeover, and there could be potential future changeover as well. And so with many of these questions comes, do we sit down and do we look at this and do we think that there might be something better? So there may come a time this spring where we sit down with the township reps and have Aaron at the table, and we ask the questions, the hard questions. Is this the right formula? Do we want to look at it differently? Do we just keep track of every single kid in every single township and every single activity they do, and that's what they pay as opposed to the population? We don't know what that looks like. So I think that there could be, you could see more changes in the future. I just don't know what that looks like, and if it really truly will happen, or if this is the best scenario at this time.
Well, it's great that they're contributing.
Absolutely, and we're very communicative right now. It's in a good place where we're having a lot of really good conversations.
Dimitri, go ahead.
With regard to that, I wonder if the new computer system that we'll be using for that will allow us to begin to track per kid for each activity, so that we could maybe explore that, a different way to bill out.
Absolutely, and RecDesk uses GIS as an indicator of where people live. They're going to use the parcel numbers, and ActiveNet does not have the capabilities. We are literally taking the registrant at their word when they say which township they live in, unless we go through thousands of registrations to verify.
Yeah. So maybe a year from now, once we have experience with that, we'll
That's
discover
our hope.
some opportunities.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to also say that I think that this is great. Whenever we can base cost based on a cost of living increase, then it saves us from having to revisit it 10 years down the road and wish we had acted on it sooner. The only thing in this agreement that I wonder if it makes sense is to specify the source of that COLA, because I believe there are different sources for cost of living increases, and the Social Security Administration is the most recognized one, if I'm not mistaken.
Thank you, and I'll let Aaron explain where he's the one who indicated the number. So.
Yeah, great question, comment. So what we have talked about leaning on is the expenditure restraint number that the state uses, because that is the most accurate number to the state of Wisconsin that we can find. There are a lot of different ones, and I believe that the townships have agreed to use that.
So I guess my point then is I think we should include that referenced in the agreement itself. That way there's something in writing we could fall back on.
That sounds great. I can do that.
Yeah.
Colin, do you have a question?
Laura, in your last, it appears, slide here, you include youth and also senior programs. Are senior programs involved in this funding as well?
That's a great question. Thank you. I didn't explain that. The town of Farmington. So this is aside from the youth program fund, because the senior center is not included in that. But the town of Farmington saw value in paying half the cost of their Farmington Senior Center membership fees. So they are the only township doing that in the moment. I have had questions from the other townships. How many senior members do we have? What would that look like on our budget? So we've been including that in these tables for their reference if they so choose to move forward with that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Corey, go ahead.
Laura, I know that we have some participants in youth sports from townships not in this agreement. So is that being tied to COLA too, that those costs are going up for those, or is it?
No, we're gonna keep that base. It's $185 on top of the original fee. That is what the out of resident fee is, and that is not changing at this time.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else? Want to make a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Martin, second by Nagel, that we approve the request for the youth programs to use COLA adjustment for 2025. Any further discussion? Barbara, call the roll.
Colin Dykstra,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Henry Veliker,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Dimitri Martin,
Aye.
Corey Nagel,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Eric Halverson.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
All right, thank you, Laura, for all your hard work on all three of these items. Next up, we have resolution number 1563. This is a final resolution authorizing sanitary sewer extension and levying special assessments against benefit property. And again, out of this, you can't get this, but we are talking about out at the airport. On what road? Runway?
Runway Drive.
Runway Drive. Okay. Justin, go ahead.
Thanks, Mayor. So it starts on 115, goes through 124. The resolution is at the beginning, of course, the mayor had alluded to. This is the final resolution, so upon passage tonight, it will come into effect. So the resolution is our very same format we've used for all assessments. We can use or assess for improvements we make based on state statute. And based on the amount they are assessed, depends on how quickly they have to pay. All these are well over $500, so they have 8 annual installments to pay that upon the assessment being applied. The second page is a table, which is more informational than anything, or actually, it's very informational, but is the actual assessment value. I added a column to this compared to the preliminary. The bold, or the second column from the right, is the actual numbers that we are planning to assess these properties. So it's preliminary with the first resolution, because that was based on the bid pricing. These actual costs is now that the project is nearly complete, we're just waiting on the lift station. Basically, the numbers are locked in. It shows the parcel numbers, of course, and the owners of each of those parcels. There is a map. This gives you an aerial of the area we're talking about. Of course, Runway Drive, this was our big sanitary sewer extension project, which was started because of the development we were trying to spur out there that was discussed earlier tonight. The area that is shaded in that fuchsia light purple color is the areas that we're looking at to be assessed. It is one side of the road. The other side we could not assess to. That's a state highway, federal highway. So there's a 50% hardship that was discussed last time that the sewer utility would have to burden. But beyond that is just large, complex tables on how we came up with this assessment. Now, these are all based on the work that was done out there. So the bid items, the work that was performed, and then divvying that up according to the area that they would be serving. Of course, the airport has the largest surface area, so that has the largest assessment. The smaller parcels, which are, of course, under an acre, you'll see will have less. There are a few township properties on here, so those assessments cannot be applied directly. If those properties annex into the city, then those could be applied at that dollar amount in the future. Again, that property would have to agree to that, and we'd have to work through that process, and then have connection to sewer, for this case, and potentially water being out there. All these properties were notified by letter. We talked to a couple of the owners during the project. We had a public hearing. The understanding of this assessment was to apply it as deferred for all, and which means that it would not be applied to those properties unless there was a qualifying event, such as like a failed system, water or sewer, a well or a septic failed, then they would have to connect. A property sale, so if it exchanged hands, or if a development, so much of it is ag land or just undeveloped. So we're trying to get that to happen. So upon one of those, that's when this would be assessed, and the numbers would then be worked out in the sale. So that is the gist of it. I'll open it up to questions, comments, and then hopefully approval.
All right. Thank you, Justin. Henry, go ahead.
Well, I know that we have a lot of flexibility on how we determine our cost. So one thing I would say to property owners is there's costs in here that we're not recuperating. Attorneys, engineering fees, staff fees, unless I miss them. But the reality is we're absorbing about 50% of the cost of the project, so maybe when you put your pencil to it, it didn't really maybe make that big of a difference to pass that on. I have a little problem with the deferred. Is this for all parcels or just, of course, the ones that are outside the city limits?
Yeah,
Just the ones outside
No.
the city?
all of them.
Except for the one developer that we did this for.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah. If we're gonna, I get it because you don't want to burden them with additional cost. But they got the benefit of splitting the cost over 7 years, and some of these assessments are $4,000 and $5,000 total. So less than $1,000, you've got water and sewer running in front of your property that you could market fully now as full utilities. So if we're going to defer them, and that's where council wants to go, then we should have some annual increase, just like we just talked about with the rec agreement, some kind of COLA, because, we're carrying the cost. Half this cost of $800,000 is we're not recouping a penny of it. So I understand the deferred assessment's a lot more palatable to property owners, but I'm not sure that's in our best interest to do it that way.
Henry, I'll answer a question in regards to like a COLA, as you mentioned. So one thing, if it is deferred, we would send a letter to each of these property owners stating when those triggering events would be. Like as he said, sale of property, development of property, failure of current septic, if current septic exists. Also, annually, they would be incurring a 4% cost, because that's the financing cost that we had. We actually have an ordinance that states that it would be 2% above the financing cost, but I found out, in speaking with our attorney, things have changed in statutory language that does not allow for that, so we might have to look at updating our code. But they would be notified that 4% would compound annual on the deferment.
4% increase?
4%, yep, increase annually on that initial amount.
Okay.
So, I guess we can't really tell from this, but how many of these properties are not in the city right now? Justin, try and help answer that.
3,
Just 3 of them, right?
Yep.
The Bucals,
and then 2 properties east of, I'll say, the terminal.
okay. All right. Okay. I think Colin had his hand up first.
Thank you. Can you tell me more about the assessment to the city and how that works? Is that saying the city pays the sewer utility? Is that?
Assessment to the city?
Like I'm seeing City of Waupaca, 618,000, 632,000.
Oh, that is the amount the sewer utility is taking on.
Okay, so this.
So it's not coming out of the general?
Not the
fund, if
general
That's what you're asking?
That's kind of what I was getting at.
Yeah.
Are we
Correct.
paying for
Yeah.
that? So, okay, then if you don't mind, I had a second question.
Yep.
Are these the same numbers you had presented earlier, or based on the same facts? Specifically, you had mentioned just now about a 50% hardship, and I thought when we talked of it last time, we based the discount on the idea that this sewer line in the future would be used for other properties and development in the future, and that's why we made a discount. So maybe I'm confused, or those two numbers are the same, or they're two separate things.
Yeah, I believe we discussed all that. The difference in price is shown on 116. I guess if you want to look at from the first resolution to the next. The hardship is typically when you make an improvement in a roadway, you have properties on both sides. You are able to defer that benefit to. Here we could not. So we cannot. It'd be inequitable, unfair to assess 100% to one side. So we had to take on, that's largely where the utility was taking on that burden.
Okay.
In this spreadsheet, there are some numbers that show when we extend to the south and when we extend to the north, benefit to those properties that could then be applied in the future, but are not being applied now. And again, like immediately, I guess back to Henry's point, that burden is back on the utility for that financial cost.
Colin, I can help also directly answer that question. Yes, it's all based on the exact same factors and formula.
Yep.
So the 50%, the airport property being there, and also not including upsizing for eventual expansion across Highway 10. All those were in the first resolution too.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
I did ask the question today too, and maybe you all are thinking this too, but so the developer that spurred this extension is going to end up paying a penalty because they're not going to have it completed by the end of this year. And I did ask if that penalty could be used to offset some of these assessments that people are getting, and the answer is
No.
so. So that will just be additional money that will go to the sewer, is what's going to happen. Okay? Scott, you had a,
Justin, did you hear back from each property owner? And I'm referencing that because you have Jay Kabisky listed on the first line here. He's actually, that man is deceased, and I think his, some kind of trust or something is going through Jansen Accounting. You know all about that?
Yeah, that is a trust.
Okay.
Maybe that got cut off in.
I just want to make sure we know where it's supposed to go.
Yes. So I was contacted by one property owner. I reached out to a couple others.
Okay.
So I guess altogether, I believe it was 3 minus the airport property.
okay. Henry, you had something else?
I can't remember because it's just the way it is. We extended water out there, and Schmidt Boat Docks and Lifts, we put water and sewer out there for them, and some properties, we did it by acreage, and I can't remember if those assessments were deferred or not. And I guess where I'm going with this, if we've been deferring assessments and all our initial work out there, we deferred them, and I lost the argument internally on that one. And we struggled for many years with that TIF out there. I'm not sure if these properties are not marketed appropriately or they're asking too much. Is that side of town just not going to develop as we hoped? I don't know. I'm still a little concerned with the deferred. Again, if I'm understanding, we can do anything we want with these assessments. So I don't know if there's a defer them for a couple years and then they go on and we got to start collecting them or something. Property owners out there have benefited immensely from our investments out there, but I'm not sure why their properties aren't selling. So I'm just making a comment.
So, Henry, appreciate your comments, and we actually had this discussion the last time you brought this up, and we had it again today. I think the best I could say is that we stand by what we are presenting here today, that we would prefer to see a deferred assessment on these properties. Okay. Anybody else? Anybody want to make a motion?
Motion to approve Resolution 1563.
Second. Motion by Dykstra, second by Hagan, that we approve of resolution number 1563. Any discussion? Barbara Colero?
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Corey Nagel,
Aye.
Colin Dykstra,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Henry Veliker,
Nay.
Eric
No.
Eric Halverson,
Aye.
Dimitri Martin,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Dave Peterson.
Aye.
9 ayes, motion carried.
All right, next up, we have ordinance number 15-2024. This is just adding a stop sign here, right?
Couple stop signs, yes,
Okay,
Mayor.
go ahead.
125 in your packet, and to the very end. This is the first reading of ordinance 15, 2024. And basically, we added a couple stop signs, and when we do that, in any sign in the city, we need to have that on our official traffic map. If we do not have that on the map, it cannot be enforced, or it could be enforced, but then thrown out in court. So this is basically the formal way of making sure that everything is official for the police to do their jobs out there. It also, in the main component of adding these two was based on safety. So the first location is at the intersection of Kronk Way and Habercorn Court. We added this after we built our new facility. It became apparent during the construction with the increased activity that it was going to be an issue. Peterson gets deliveries in their back driveway. We're using that as our main thoroughfare to and fro. So we wanted to include a stop sign to prevent any major accident there. The other location is at White Oak Drive in quote-unquote the Woodland Circle area. So for this one, it was a little bit more complicated because a lot of those cul-de-sacs and small courts do not have stop signs, which is fine. It's just an uncontrolled intersection, and you basically yield to the other vehicle. But as you can see, where the existing ones are basically along timber, and that is based on the traffic pattern. Major traffic in and out of this subdivision is from 49 and Brainerd Drive. So the control is to make people slow down and force them to stop before they go onto timber, which is highly trafficked. Since the neighborhood has increased quite a bit. This is an older aerial. There's many more homes in there. It is about 90% full now. The southerly direction has become an issue. I've received comments of White Oak Drive being an issue, a danger, a need for a change for a number of years, and it's just become apparent it's coming to a head. So these are the two locations that we have added stop signs, and then the ordinance with the adoption at the second reading would make that official. Last note is stop signs and all signs are not cheap. $400 for these signs, just the sign itself. And over the time over years we'll have to maintain those. So just simple average, moving forward, our sign maintenance line might have to increase $80 next year, or so in the next 10 years or something like that. So that's all there, and obviously we'll talk about it again at the next meeting.
Thanks, Justin. Again, as he said, this is the first reading of that. Colin, you had a comment?
Sure. Could you tell me a little about your thinking relative to the intersections on Woodland Drive that intersect with both White Oak and Honey Bear, and the requirement or the lack of a need for a stop sign there, and then one of the few places I hear a lot of complaints about speeders is on Timber, and I wondered if you'd considered the intersection of Timber and Honey Bear as a three-way stop to try and slow down that traffic.
Well, perhaps I would ask everyone to take King Road Drive and see how that stop sign feels on King Road.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess we can go from there. So
I'm just asking if you considered it. I'm not saying it's good or bad.
It's come up before. We have received comments that timber is speeders. The PD know about that. They patrol that, especially during softball season. So it's been in the back of our minds, but has never reached the forefront.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Again, this is just the first reading, so you'll get to see this again at our December 3rd meeting. Okay. I think we're down to just communications, recommendations of the mayor. First of all, don't forget that on December 3rd, which is our next city council meeting, we will have a public hearing. That public hearing will start right at 6 o'clock. So council will be after the public hearing, and the public hearing is to give the opportunity for citizens to discuss the proposed budget. Okay? So that's the reason for the public hearing. A regular meeting after that. As Aaron has said, Stephanie has put together a nice piece of homework for you guys. So I've had the opportunity it just got completed earlier today, so I've had an opportunity to go through that. Hopefully you have a chance to really take a good study of it before our December 3rd meeting. I think it will be very helpful.
Thanks.
We talked about just doing it as an email, and we thought maybe a paper product of it might be a little better for you in this case. So, and then I know you're all wondering, and I'm not to blame for this, but I won't tell who it is, but you're all wondering if we're gonna have a December 17th meeting because we try not to. Well, it's already too late. So we are having, there's already 2 items on the December 17th agenda that we cannot take care of on December 3rd or the first week in January. So we will have to have a meeting on December 17th. Okay? Besides that, I won't see probably any of you, so have a happy Thanksgiving. If you're a hunter, be safe out there. If you're not a hunter, still be safe out there.
Don't look around in the woods.
Colin, you
Oh, just, I can't recall an ordinance without a public hearing as well. Does that ordinance need a public hearing, or maybe they don't?
not all ordinance need public hearings, but we can bring that forward to explain which ones need it and which ones don't.
Well, it just,
Okay.
I've never seen it before. It doesn't matter to me. I just wanted to be.
Yeah, but I've asked that question numerous times too, and I forget the answer. So we could bring it forward again.
Thank you.
Yep. Anybody else? Motion by Hagan, second by Olson, that we adjourn. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, say no. Motion carried. We're adjourned at 7:47 PM.